Last night on Carlos King's Reality King tour that was sold out, that featured Melody Holt, Mel got a lot of things off her chest and left Carlos a little speechless and maybe just a little embarrassed. Let's get into it. So last night, the millimeters were in full effect, completely activated in support of Mel. And she looked absolutely beautiful. Like, this black and white suit, she looked good. That's all I can say, right? And the conversation she and Carlos had left him with some revelations. The first thing that I heard they talked about were the roses that Martell had brought Mel in that particular scene. And, he said that Carlos had made him do that. Carlos said that's a lie. He said, because if I was going to do something, I'd fuel the jet and I would do it right. He said that was a lie, and he was very disappointed in that. And also disappointed that Martell said that they were actors. So Mel told Carlos she kind of felt bad for him, right? Because Martell kind of bothered the integrity of the show. Remember when Big Ari posted about Carlos was in town to talk to the cast and she couldn't be on the show because she was like a loose cannon? Well, Mel was like, how would she know that? Who would have told her that but Martell? Carlos isn't pleased with it. So Mel was talking about the millimeters and why they are activated and why they even came to be. Because they saw her on stage being taken down by everybody on the stage. And then she said one of the girls on the stage was like, I don't think anybody was doing that to you. And she was like, you are crazy if you do not see that. And everybody in the room said Kimmy. And I do believe everybody was right. So then she was saying for the next several seasons, we got to get back to business, right? She said, of course, there's going to be some drama. And she said she was praying about it. And she said, correct me, Carlos, if I'm wrong. She said, but when you pray, you sit back and wait. And she said, what happened after that? Two particular things happened. And then they get into the Martell Holt of it all. So when they got to talking about the arrest, honey, everybody in the room cheered, right? Carlos asked her, where was she when she heard about it? She said she was getting ready to do a scene for Love and Marriage Huntsville. And she said that although it was happening, she wasn't very happy about it because it's the father of her children. But she said what she was most worried about was where were her children because they were with Martell. And I can understand that. But then she talked about how the arrest all came about. So Mel was saying that this was a really hard decision to put this warrant out on Martell. She said, this is something you think about your children before you do something like this. She said, and she was trying to just be quiet and see if he would leave her alone. And her brother also told her if he had just apologized and left her alone, she probably wouldn't even completed the warrant. And she said, you're probably right, and you probably not right. But she said she called Lauren because she needed support to go through with what she had to go through with. So she said Lauren took her to all the places where she needed to go. Her team knew exactly what she was doing, her mother and everyone. And she said she had never done anything like that before. So she took all of her evidence to the magistrate, and he asked, did she want to issue a warrant? And she said, yes, I do. So somebody in the audience said that you should have issued two, meaning to Big Ari, coleslaw, right? So she went on to explain why Ariane didn't get a warrant. She said because the warrant had to come from the person who actually had the evidence. So that's why Big Ari didn't get a warrant. So she said her lawyer said, we have his address. We can have him picked up. She said she believes in divine time, right? So she said she waited around. She knew it was out there. She had talked to Carlos, and she was like, she didn't make a call. She didn't try to get it done faster. She said that when you go to certain places trying to get certain things, it pops up. And that's when he was arrested. So then Carlos asked the craziest question. Like, it seemed like he just didn't know what else to say. He asked her, did she ever think that she would have to do something like that to the father of her children? Absolutely not. What mother thinks that they have to issue a warrant for the father of their children? But she went on to say that, no, she never thought she had to do that. And she was like, why couldn't he just be like, I messed up. I'm just going to leave her alone and let it go. And then she said she was telling her family, like, I wish I had my kids by somebody else. Like, why did I have to have my children by this man? Child, you just don't know. And I don't know when you can know the right person. You just don't know. So Mel was like, she doesn't do any interviews. She hasn't done them in a long time. And she was like, he just continuously goes out and does interviews and tries to tear her down, right? And Carlos was like, he was talking about women on shows who have left their husbands and they get back with them. And then he was like, after the first season, when they did the reunion, and Mel came back and she was pregnant because he thought it was over. And then when she was pregnant and he went to the dressing room, she was like, we're back together. And then he went on to say, you're the only reality star who's divorced from their husband and you continue to work with him. Yeah, that's unfortunate. But let's keep going. So then Carlos asked her, like, what was it like coming to work, going through that? And she was like, it was tormenting her. And honestly, she said she would get ready. She said it was hard for her to come out this particular night to have this conversation with him because she knew what she wanted to say, right? And then she was like coming to work, dealing with everything. She told Carlos that she was wondering when were they going to step in. That was really emotional because that said a lot at that moment. Because it's like, I don't know how he couldn't see it because we all saw it. And she asked that question, like, when are you going to step in? She said at times she felt like she didn't even want to go to work, right? And you can understand that. And then she said there were times that she was upset with Carlos. She was like, y'all don't see me. And then she thought about her kids because they have to witness this. Although they're not on the show anymore, the show is out there. And things are happening at home that we don't even know about. And I know that's tough. Child, then Mel was like, I said before that she said, there was times that she didn't talk to him, right? And just here lately, she's back talking to Carlos like they used to talk. And she said she felt seen. And she said she didn't know why. Is it because things started happening to Carlos? Because, it was some stuff going on out there. Stuff going on with the show. Things people were saying. Because, he had got a little quiet. And the crowd went wild. So Carlos gets to talking. And he said that he didn't feel like Mel needed him as much. They weren't talking because he's like, she's an A student. But he was needed over on Bell Collective because Latrice Rodgers and Letitia needed him. But he said when Mel called, they had an hour conversation. And then he ended saying he didn't know. He just didn't know it was that bad. How could you not have known? Do you not watch the show? Did you not hear Mel's day of revelation? Do you not see what's going on the internet? These are questions that I need answers to. So, does Carlos not remember, I think it's season 2 reunion, where he called Big Ari a full entree? Do y'all remember that? Because I did. He also went on to say that Mel said she didn't trust him anymore. He was flabbergasted, right? He said because he was taking care of his other children, his other shows, and he just did not know what Mel was going through. Sir, you were part of the conversation. So people told him, he mentioned that people tell him you need to worry about your own show. And then eventually he apologized for making Mel feel abandoned. He said he apologizes so much. So that's a good thing. And I'm sure that made her feel good because it was about time. So he went through all the explanation, right? And I think at some point Mel said Martell had to go and the crowd went wild. Right? And then he segued from this conversation to introducing someone onto the stage. Now, I'll be quiet about that. We'll see that later. But hold on. Mel had a whole party for the millimeters, honey. They was in there electric slide and everything else. And it was so nice. She even serenaded the crowd with one of her songs. So I really hope Mel feels better about this because, like I said, it seemed like she got a lot off of her chest. So we'll see, honey, how it changes. It's your girl, Millie Chun. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.